or conclusions that we make. Slavery was not created by the white races, because it has existed throughout human history and practiced by every tribe, culture, civilization, racial group, and religion. In fact, the very word slavery has its root in the name Slav, based upon the Slavic peoples of Europe who were subjugated by other Europeans. It is not common knowledge that the Arabic word abd is synonymous with the meaning of slave. For example, Abdullah means literally the slave of Allah, and that in the language of the Arabs, all black peoples are called abid, plural, for slaves. While much has been written concerning the transatlantic slave trade, surprisingly little attention has been paid to the Islamic slave trade across the Sahara, the Red Sea, and the Indian Ocean. While the European involvement in the African transatlantic slave trade to the Americas lasted for just over 3 centuries, the Arab involvement in the African slave trade has lasted 14 centuries, and in some parts of the Mohammedan world is still continuing to this day. The birth of Mohammedan Islam and its conquests brought about the birth of institutionalized, systematized, and religiously sanctioned slave trade on a massive and global scale. In fact, the Quran allows the taking of slaves as booty or reward for wars of aggression against any and all unbelievers, most of the human population. This has led to an enormous number of so-called holy wars, jihad in Arabic. There was and is absolutely nothing holy about these wars, which are primarily to plunder, slaughter, rape, subjugate, and rob other human beings of their wealth, produce, freedom, and dignity. Mohammedan Muslim states and tribes attacked other non-Muslim groups to achieve these objectives. Although Islamic jurisprudence laid down regulations for the treatment of slaves, however, incredible and heinous abuses have occurred throughout the history of Mohammedan Islam. By the Middle Ages, the Arabic word abd was in general used to denote a black slave, while the word mamluk referred to a white slave. Ibn Khaldun, 1332 to 1406, the preeminent Islamic medieval historian and social thinker, wrote, "The Negro nations are, as a rule, submissive to slavery, because they have attributes that are quite similar to dumb animals." It should also be noted that black slaves were castrated based on the assumption that the blacks had an ungovernable sexual appetite. When the Fatimid Caliphate came to power in Egypt, they slaughtered all the tens of thousands of black military slaves and raised an entirely new slave army. Some of these slaves were conscripted into the army at age 10. From Persia to Egypt to Morocco, slaves
Yes, sir. Shalom, shalom. Today's video, we're going to discuss, Psalms 83. We're dwelling mostly in that area to explain how and why the other nations hate the Most High. Because everybody keep trying to include all the other nations into salvation and, they're going to be saved through this and that. Today's lesson is going to set it straight so you can share it with your brethren, whoever you want to think, who think that everybody's going to be given salvation, Before we begin, I want to give all praise, power, glory, and thanks to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Kakadash. Double honors to the elders, the prophets, the apostles, and the wise men, and our forefathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Salutations to the hopeful elect that are out there pushing the truth, risking their lives and freedom to do so. To them, we say Shalom, Kwame Yasharala, and the Bible Ball. I'm going to let my brother Paris start it off, and we're going to go from there.
All right, just like he said, we're going to start off in Psalms 83. Just like he said, we're just going to touch on, explain how all nations hate the Most High, because if they love the Most High, they would follow his laws and they would do what he says. Because if you love someone, you respect and you reverence what they say and you listen to them. So that's another sign to let you know somebody loves somebody. They do what they say. No questions asked. So I'm going to start with Psalms 83, 2 through 4. For lo, thine enemies make atonement. They have which means atonement means they make like a covenant together, or like a secret group, you know, that nobody knows about. That's what the word atonement means, like an agreement that they hate, that they have lifted up their head. They have taken up crafty counsel against our people and consulted against our hidden ones. So basically, they plotted a plan to put us in perpetual servitude, which I have a video attached to this, which if you're understanding a lot better, that it wasn't just so-called Esau that started the slave trade. It also started with the so-called Arabs, and it started before that. So you got to get an understanding of different captivities and how the Most High is looking at it. He's not looking at it just in recent history, and that's how we look at it. He's looking at it from the beginning. He's seen every nation treat his people the same way, so he takes that into account. Verse 4, they have said, "Come, let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may not be no more in remembrance." So basically, their whole plan that they devised when they made that atonement or that agreement was to destroy Israel, basically spiritually and physically, so they wouldn't remember themselves, and they wouldn't be remembered the same way amongst all the other people. And in the later verses 6 through 8, the Most High, he basically names names, and he names the nations who did this, basically the people who were leading this. And I'll start with verse 6. The tabernacles of Edom, the Ishmaelites, of Moab, the Hagarians, Gabal, Ammon, Amalek, the Philistines, and the inhabitants of Tyre and Assur also joined in with them. So they have Hopham, the children of Lot, and Salih. So basically, that's talking to Salakia. So basically, these countries are just talking about your Arab nations. You're talking about
basically
Saudi
every
Arabia.
other nation.
Yeah, every other nation that you see around in the Middle East, all of them, because they basically were there in cahoots. Because in order for somebody to take a land from somebody and to remove them, everybody around them has to be with the program. If not, somebody gonna say something like, "Hey, this ain't right." Nobody said nothing, so they let you know that everybody around them is in cahoots. And if anybody want to get in a better understanding of who those nations are, we have a 18 nations chart. You just look at that, line it up, boom, boom, there you go.
Oh yeah, we'll add it to the video because it's also going on YouTube, just like all the rest of our videos.
And basically, that's just listing off the names, and this is also pertaining to what this happened, and also when they signed the dumbed out verses, and this is also talking about the Arab enslavement and captivity, and this is also talking about the fall of 70 AD, which Yahweh repeats itself, and he also says things that repeats itself throughout time to let you know that he already knows what's going to happen. Also, I'm going to jump to Deuteronomy 28:37. And thou shalt become astonished, a proverb, a byword among all nations, where the Lord shall be led thee. So basically, they're just saying we become a byword, or they won't remember us by our original names as Hebrew, or original people of Yahweh, or Yahwehans, what they would call us, a Yahweh. Basically, they wanted to make us tear away from that name, get us to get away from our true power, which is Yahweh. But people got to understand, Yahweh just means power. And that's where we get our wisdom from. That's where everything comes from. So they understood if we want to destroy these people, we have to separate them from that. So basically, all the people they had to get confederate and come against us, because what was happening was we were in control and we were in power at the time. And what happened, we started falling off from the Most High. So they seen the weakness in us, so they capitalized on it. And all nations were confederate in this. There were no nations that tried to step in and help us. Ezekiel, and I'm gonna jump to this to get another precept on that. I'm gonna jump to Ezekiel 35:5, because thou hast a perpetual hatred, and hast shed blood of the children of Israel by force of the sword in the time of their calamity, in the time of their iniquity had an end. So basically saying that Yahweh had said that their punishment had an end, but Esau, Edom, and the other nations, they kept perpetuating the same slavery, and they kept perpetuating the same iniquities on Yahweh's people, the people of Israel. And so basically, he remembers this, and he's going to keep account of all the bloodshed, because you can't spill blood of the righteous, of the saints, and Yahweh's not going to be watching and keeping account of this. And I'm gonna jump to John 15:8, and basically this is letting you know that if the world hated Yahweh Shai, they're gonna hate him. They're gonna hate us too. If the world hated you, you know that it hated me before it hated you. So basically saying that if you already know that how the world look at us, and that's just saying all nations, just like we had a little incident with going to China where they wanted to ban black people from coming to China because they thought they were the people who brought the so-called coronavirus, when in reality of the fact it started in China. So how does that work? So it's just understand that. And if you look at, I'll attach another video. There's a brother that fought in the Vietnam War. He basically breaks it down about the history, about how Esau, Edom, and other nations, they perpetuate this history and teach it to their children all across the globe. Because the people just think this is just an American thing, and black people have been explaining this for years and years and years. Every nation has this same hatred for black folks. They remember when we weren't like this. We had our own country, we had our own money. You couldn't just push us around like this. So they don't never want us to get back like that. So they do anything in their power to perpetuate that same hatred. And I'm going to jump down to John 2:23. And whosoever denied the Son, the same has not denied the Father. That he acknowledged the Son, have also the Father. So basically saying, if you reject the fact that the Son and the Father the Son and the Father are the so-called Yahweh and Yahweh Shai, and those are the so-called Negroes. They have a Negro look, brass skin and woolly hair, which that is the Israelites. If you deny that truth, and if you deny both of them, you deny the truth that we are the true people, and that we are the people that teach this truth, then you deny both of them. So just like you have people that want to attach themselves to the Bible, but they want to put their own flavor on it or paint their own God. No, you can't do that, because if you deny a little bit partial of this truth, you deny the whole thing. So it's like you have people in the church, they'll paint up a white Jesus, and they'll say, yeah, I still follow the Bible, but that's not correct. If you deny any portion, if you deny the Son or you deny the Father in any way, you deny both of them, you deny the whole word. So there's no partialness to this. You got to be fully in it all the way. And before I give it to Brother Darren, there's one more precept I'm going to give. Matthew 10:22. And ye shall be hated among all men for my name's sake, but he that endureth to the end shall be saved. And Luke 21:7. Then he shall say then shall they see the Son of Man coming in a cloud with power and great glory. So basically what that's saying is we will be hated for his name's sake. And if a lot of people don't understand, that is Yahweh surnamed us after him, which he gave the name of Israel, which is Yasharallah, which that is surname after Yahweh. That's why everything has a Yah after it. That's surname. Just like Judah is Yahweh. That's just surname after Yahweh, so you know where it comes from. That's why he says you're hated after my name's sake, because they know you're named after me because you look like me. You share my characteristics. You are my bloodline. You are my seed. That's why they hate us, because they know where we come from. They know that's why he says you are not of this world, because they know we don't come from here. Everybody else is from this world, but we're not, because they understand that we were here when it was created, so we can't be from somewhere where we were here when we created. Understand that? That's just logical. It don't make sense. So that just lets you know that they understand the true power that lies within us. So you got to understand that there's no way we could be on the same level with them. So it's just genetically instilled in them to have that hatred, because they just know that it's something greater. They see that light in us. That's why they want to destroy it. And I'm going to turn it over to Brother Darren. Let him take it over for there.
All right, to tack on to what he was saying and what we were saying in the beginning, you got to understand, like, we read through, like, Genesis. I think it's, like, either chapter 10 or 12. It's in between there. The Most High gave everybody a chance. You know, after the flood, you know, the only people that were left were Noah's sons, you know, Shem, Japheth, and Ham, as well as their wives. So they had to procreate. So I'm going to jump to Hebrews 12:16 real quick. And it says, lest there be any fornicator or profane person as Esau, who for one morsel of meat sold his birthright. So, like this one, you know, I'm going to jump to Genesis just to help people get understanding. But this one, he's talking about Esau, Edom. You know, Esau had the birthright at first, you know, because it's always to the first son. And he sold it for meat, you know, because one, he didn't understand, nor did he care. I mean, he learned, you know, from Jacob about his birthright, but he didn't care so much for it. So he sold it for some meat, because if you understand, Esau was a hunter. He didn't need Jacob's help to cook and things like that. He already knew how to go about it, but it just shows and put emphasis on how much he cared about spirituality and his birthright about it. Let's see.
I think you
Now I'm trying to look for the part when he tells him, you know, go be fruitful and multiply.
but while
Oh,
he's
here we
finding
go.
that, oh, you
I
got it.
got it.
Okay.
So chapter 9, verse 1, it says, and Yahweh blessed Noah and his sons and said unto them, be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth. And the fear of you and the dread of you shall be upon every beast of the earth and upon every fowl of the air, upon all that moveth upon the earth and upon all the fishes of the sea. Into your hand are they delivered. And then he goes into 12, and it says, and Yahweh said, this is the token of the covenant which I make between me and you and every living creature that is with you for perpetual generations. I do set my bow in the cloud, and it shall be for a token of a covenant between me and the earth. And it shall come to pass when I bring the cloud over the earth, that the bow shall be seen in the cloud. And I remember my covenant, which is between me and you and every living creature of all flesh. And the water shall no more become a flood to destroy all flesh. So basically, he gave all of them. You know, the earth was so big. You know, he was just saying, "Okay, you get this half, you get this half, you get this half." But he blessed all of them. You know what I'm saying? And you know, Ham got knocked out when he was looking at Noah wrong, and then later down the line, Japheth went wrong, and then you know Shem ended up getting it. But I'm gonna explain more after I read Hebrews 12 and 17. It says, "For you know how that afterward, when he would have inherited the blessing, he was rejected, for he found no place for repentance, though he sought it carefully with tears." When he asked Jacob, you know, do you have even one blessing for me? And he started crying about it instead of repenting. That's what Hebrews 12 and 17 is saying. For all the people that understand, all nations came from Israel, you know, from Jacob, which people have to understand. Jacob just changed his name to Israel, which you can read in Genesis 32 and 25, if I'm correct, around in that area when he wrestled with the Most High. But it's important to follow the bloodlines, because when you follow the bloodlines, then you have a better understanding of the Bible. You know what I'm saying? Just like he tells you in Ecclesiastes, there's no new thing under the sun. So you just got to take the name, and you got to take time out of your day to research who these people are. That's what you have to do. That's why you be confused about, oh, the Asians and stuff like that. Well, you gotta do the research on it. That's the problem. But just like Noah had 3 sons, only one wanted to follow the law, so he was blessed, which was Shem. You know, Shem had 5 sons, but only one was blessed through his bloodline to bring forth, which is Eber. Eber just means Hebrew, all right, because he kept the law. And then Eber had Peleg had Raru had Surah, you know, and it keeps going down the line, you know. Terah, who had 3 sons, and then Terah came from Abraham. You know, Abraham came from Terah, and then you know, Abraham had his children. But you got also Abraham gave birth. He begat Ishmael, which is the Ishmaelites, which are the Moors, which invented Hinduism and all that other stuff, which you can see in their Bible. They copy us, and that's a lot of stuff. You just got to dig deeper into it. And I've done many posts about these, and so has Brother Paris. And it just goes down, you know. That's why he only focuses on certain things. You got to follow the bloodline. So let's go. Abraham, they got Isaac. Isaac gave birth to Jacob and Esau. Yes, Esau got cut off. Then Jacob gave birth to his 12 sons, and it keeps flooding down like that. So you got to follow the bloodline because it's important. And it goes by your father, which it tells you in Numbers 1 and 18. But I'm going to read Galatians 4 and 26, and it says, but Jerusalem, which is above, is free, which is the mother of us all. So everybody came from Jerusalem in that area because we all come from one family, which people not understand.
I
It's literally
understand.
one
Everybody
big
came
family.
from Noah. You guys came from
Yeah,
Noah. Come on
it's
now.
literally one big family. And it says all nations were given a chance to follow the law and the covenant, but they went after other gods. You saw when he said, I'm going to bless you. You know, I made a covenant with Noah. I'm going to bless you. You know what I'm saying? But everybody started falling off. And that's why he ended up choosing Israel, or, you know, Jacob. That's why he said he showed his word to Jacob. Nobody else in the family can show you the Bible or tell you about the Bible. You're going to learn more from a Hebrew Israelite than you will in anywhere else,
Gad in here.
because he chose Jacob. Those are his 12 sons. You just got to follow. the bloodlines, and you got to follow the history, because the history gonna line up. The Bible is true. For people that don't believe in the Bible, you got history to line up with it. So Deuteronomy 7:6, but it says, "For thou art a holy people unto Yahweh thy power, thy Lord thy power hath chosen thee to be a special people unto himself above all people that are upon the face of the earth." So holy just means separate. That's why we have to follow the laws. He blessed us with the law. He blessed, just us with the law. No other nation is under the law. So when folks be out here worried about fighting for LGBTQ and all this nonsense, no, bruh. You're not doing nothing but like defiling yourself. Let them do that. They're worldly. That's why he said, don't be of this world. Like Brother Perry is saying, we're not of the world. You know what I'm saying? Like, he made the world for us anyways. But then he gave into the hands of the wicked because we went off. And it says, so once Isaac's son, Abraham's son, and Noah's son, etc., didn't accept the law, they were rejected, so they became bastards. But what does it mean to be a bastard? It means like fake, phony. It also means like fatherless. You know what I'm saying? So 2 Ezra 6:56. As for the other people which also come of Adam, thou hast said that they are nothing but be like unto spittle, and has likened the abundance of them unto a drop that falls from a vessel. Everybody came from Adam, all right? And if you read, when Yahushua says, I am the root and the offspring of David, he's giving you a clue. And people
and the only begotten son.
The bright and like people not paying attention to that.
They don't listen.
No, they don't. So that's what he's letting you know what's going on. Same thing with how he was Isaac. He's setting that cornerstone for a reason. But basically, yes, everybody came from Adam. Abraham gave birth to many sons. Abraham came from Adam. Everybody came from Adam. So he's letting you know, hey, everybody besides Israel, they don't care. They don't matter. I only chose you. And he tells you that many times. Deuteronomy 23:2, a bastard shall not enter into the congregation of the Lord, even to his 10th generation shall he not enter into the congregation of the Lord. So just like all the other nations, they're bastards, especially Esau, Edom. He fatherless. Same thing with Moabites and stuff like that. No other nation can teach you the Bible. This Bible is written for us. Everybody just want to be a part of our bloodline, so they try to say it they try to put it in their way, but they can't understand it. That's like if everybody try to be, whatever somebody special in. Like everybody try to be the president, or everybody, we're groomed for this. This is our bloodline. This is our heritage. Deuteronomy 23:3, an Ammonite or Moabite shall not enter into the congregation of the Lord, even to their 10th generation shall they not enter into the congregation of the Lord forever. So there you go, Ammonite and Moabites. Talking about the Asians, the Japanese, and the Chinese. That's what he's talking about. So if they can't enter the congregation, why are you listening to them to teach you the word? That doesn't even make sense. That's backwards. That doesn't even make sense.
You yourself sound crazy doing it.
Exactly. And people be trying to correct us like, no, this is what he's meant.
No.
Okay. Deuteronomy 23:4, and it says, because they met you not with bread and with water in the way when you came forth out of Egypt, and because they hired against thee Balaam, the son of Beor of Pethor of Mesopotamia, to curse thee. So they didn't even try to help us when we were down. That's what it's saying. We're all family. Would you not help your family? You didn't even try to help them because you're jealous of something. But he also said, if they bless you, then they will be blessed. And they just ignored that. 23:5, nevertheless, the Lord thy power will not hearken unto Balaam, but the Lord thy power turned the curse into a blessing unto thee, because the Lord thy God loved thee. Yeah, he's saying bastard because, like I said, they're fatherless, they're fake, they're phony. He's Yahweh is the father of fathers, which people not understanding. Even Satan got to listen to him. You know what I'm saying? Like everybody is under the control of the Most High. Just like it said, man's goings is of the Lord. And that's what people need to understand. When you understand man's goings of the Lord, you don't take none of this personal. You just understand, I got to follow my path and return to these law, statutes, and holy days. Go ahead, Paris.
All right, and just another thing I want to touch on, just like he was talking about, we're set apart people. Just like he says, Yahweh Shai is an austere man. And if you look at that word austere, it just means set apart or different. And that's what we are. We're austere people. We're supposed to be set apart or different. We're not supposed to be like the rest. And so I'm gonna jump into a part that says, like, a lot of people, they'll get the understanding. They'll understand that that all the other nations are confederate against us, but it's a bigger key to this, that we gotta understand that we have to wait on Yahweh to avenge us, and that He knows that the world hated us because it hated Him, because they rejected His laws. So He already knew what was going to take place. So we gotta understand to be patient. And I'm gonna start with Romans 12:19. And dearly beloved, avenge not yourselves, but rather give place unto wrath. For it is written, vengeance is mine, I will repay, says Yahweh. So we got to understand that Yahweh, He watches everything. He sees everything, even things that happen currently, even things that happened way back in the day. And people going out here trying to have their own agenda or have their own set goals of what they're trying to do, that's not doing anything but just get yourself caught up in His plan and get caught up in the sauce and get caught up, might get killed.
But also to explain that one, you know, He's saying revenge is for Him because we went off.
Yeah.
What we look like trying to correct somebody else when we not even.
We went off like we have no purpose and have no place trying to go out correct the people. We ain't even corrected ourselves. Exactly. It starts in house first. Like I said, like we have to fix our problems intra-racially first before we try to go out here interracially fixing people. They don't work like that. But that's stepping stones that you have to take in the progress of growing up and actually becoming a people again. And I'm gonna jump to Second Maccabees 7:31. And thou hast been an author of all mischief against the Hebrews, and shall not escape the hands of Yahweh. So basically, he understands that all of them have been an author of mischief against the Hebrews, even from the Hamites to Ammon, Moab, anybody that has profited or plotted on our downfall, that he sees it. You're not going to escape the hands of Yahweh, because Yahweh is the one that's going to pay vengeance through Yahweh Shai. And we got to understand that that's the order and that's the way it's going to go. I'm going to jump to Zechariah 2:8. For that says the Lord of hosts, after the glory has sent me unto the nations, which spoiled you. For he that touches you has touched the apple of his eye. So again, it's letting you know that he that has touched you, he's touched the apple of his eye, that he's angered the Most High. He's angered the Holy One of Israel. So just like I talked to somebody earlier today, I posted a video talking about the sex trafficking and what they're really doing with the immigrant children. And she was getting upset. She's like, what can we really do? And I said, to be honest, I said, we cannot support them with our money and we can make it aware by posting about it. But I said, anything about actively doing something about it, that's not our place right now. All we can do is we can pray to Yahweh, and Yahweh will make that right. He will set that right. Because he sees it just like we see it. He just want everybody to see it so we'll get on one accord and not fund them and support them anymore. And also, I'm going to jump back to Second Maccabees, and I'm going to jump down to 7:34. But thou, O godless man, and all other most wicked, but not lifted up without a cause, were nor puffed up on certain hopes, lifted up by the hand against the servants of God, of Yahweh. 35. For thou hasn't not ye escaped the judgment of Almighty Yahweh, who seeth all things. So just like I said, he seeth all things. He sees things in the past, the future, present. You can't hide nothing from Yahweh, man. And I don't care what you do. You can't hide nothing from him. So you might well go ahead and give it up. Verse 36. For our brethren who are now have suffered in a short pain are dead under Yahweh's covenant of everlasting life, but thou through the judgment of Yahweh shall receive just punishment for thy pride. So basically he's saying that there might have been people that they might have had a short pain or a short death under the covenant of Yahweh, but he's saying that those people that had a short pain and short death that you might not feel that was just, that they're going to receive just punishment for their pride. That even though because they died in this physical realm, they still have to meet up with the head honcho, which is Yahweh. Like, you got to get that one-on-one. Everybody got to get the one-on-one at the end of the day when you die. And ain't nobody ain't gonna be there. Darren ain't gonna be there. Ain't nobody gonna be there. And you and him got to sit there and talk about what you did. And everybody has to understand this. That's what he's saying right there. When he's saying that you might see something like, you might see somebody go to jail. You might feel like, well, 15 years ain't long enough, or death ain't good enough for them. Well, there's a little bit more afterwards. So, and another thing I want to get people to understand, that if you love Yahweh, you got to keep your eyes on the prize, which it says in John 14:15. If you love me, keep my commandments. He tells us that We have to follow the law of the land, and we have to do our best to not incite violence and to just protect ourselves but be holy. In 2nd Ezra 3 and 33, 35, 3 and 35, and I'm going to jump down to 36 too. When it was that day which would dwell upon the earth, have not sinned in thy sight, what people have so kept thy commandments. Thou shalt find thy Israel by name had kept thy precepts, but not the heathen. So right there, he's letting you know that he's just like we said earlier, just like Brother Darren went over the bloodline and went through how every single nation had a chance, starting from Noah, because that's where he had the covenant. He started the covenant with, but they fell off because they sinned. But that the seed of Jacob, that bloodline that started with Noah, Shem, that they did not sin, that they kept the law and they kept the precepts. But the heathen did not. That's what he's referring to, the heathen, the other worldly people. So again, he's letting you know that we're not of this world and that we're not compared to this world because we follow the law throughout history. And I'm gonna close it out with Psalms 139 and verses 21 through 24. Do I not hate them, O Lord? They hate thee. Am I not grieved with those that rise up against thee? I hate them with perfect hatred. I count them as my enemies. Search me, O Yahweh. Know my heart. Try me. Know my thoughts, and see if there are any wicked in me, and lead me in the everlasting way. So basically, he's saying that Yahweh said it right there. That he's saying that he said he's grieved that basically he sees everything. He said they hate him. So why wouldn't they hate you? And also that he's counted his enemies. He hates them with a perfect hatred. So if Yahweh says he hates you with a perfect hatred, there's no more perfect hatred than the hatred of Yahweh. And when you have that on your side, there is no winning. You always gonna be losing. Because when the person that created you hates you, I don't know where you at, man. You're in an abysmal place. A place I'd never want to be. And basically saying, and also he's saying is, and this is Psalm, we understand Psalms is songs of David. So this is David. So we understand that he's saying if there's any wicked in me, he's saying is remove it and lead me into the everlasting way, which is the way of Yahweh. So he's saying, he's saying separate me from my enemies and empower me. Yahweh, empower me and count my enemies and help me be strong against my enemies. Hate them with a perfect hatred for me. So he's saying, so King David's saying, I'm not going to hate them. I want you to hate them with perfect hatred. Because that's the perfect hatred, when Yahweh hates your enemy. Because they're not doing what you're supposed to do. But that's all I wanted to say. I'll let brother Darren, anything you want to touch on that before I close out?
Yeah, Ecclesiastes 3:14 and 15, it says, I know that whatsoever Yahweh doeth, it shall be forever. Nothing can be put to it, nor anything taken from it. And Yahweh doeth that man shall fear before him. 15, that which hath been is now, and that which is to be hath already been, and Yahweh required that which is past. 14, basically saying, he made an everlasting covenant. He always make everlasting and perpetual covenant. They hate it, and you can't get rid of it. It just, we're going to always win as long as we do what we're supposed to. 15, like he says, and God required that which is past. So everything they did in the past is going to come to fruition. And, Revelations 13:10, he that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here's the patience and the faith of the saints. That was it.
Cut and dry like that, man. Very clean, cut and dry. And a lot of people, I'll show them that verse and they'll just gloss over it. But I mean, the patience of the saints. We also know who the saints are. The saints are the people who kept the commandments. And if you kept the commandments of Yahweh, then you're going to have the favor of the promises of Yahweh. So I don't understand. That's how you know people don't understand precepts properly. So
because they letting these Gentiles try to teach them their
you're letting the wrong people try to teach you, because there's a certain order you have to read and understand the Bible, and when you don't, you'll get confused very quickly, because a lot of people
trying to teach Korean. I don't know nothing about Korean, man.
Yeah, man. And a lot of people have invested a lot of time and a lot of money in distorting and confusing the Bible, and we're gonna have a lesson over that coming soon. We'll probably talk about the errors of the Bible But just be looking out. I'm gonna put this on YouTube, and there's gonna be short videos with this video to kind of give you some background information on about different nations, real hardcore facts about different nations hating so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. It's a real thing, man. Ain't just made up. But I want to give thanks to Yahweh Bashem Yahushua, Barak Yahweh, Barak Yahushua. And also I want to give thanks to the Akwath and Akwam that listen, learn, y'all support us. And be safe out here, stay prayed up. Shalom.
Shalom.
I think that is needed.
Do you feel like you have racist thoughts?
Yes. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's in me. I know, and as much as I want to say the right answer, and I know it's wrong, it's there.
We know, I mean, we have these sort of snap judgments about people, and I have them too. I can't really help it. You know, I do my best to try and recognize when that's happening and try and fight it and try